You know, it's almost like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. Guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in, because in this video we are going to take a close look at the HyperBase FC. You know, this name is quite confusing. You would say like it's a Famicom, but it's absolutely not like a Famicom. It looks like a Famicom, but it isn't. Yeah. Are you still following me? The retro game system that supports all the way up to PlayStation Portable. Sometimes, you know, like we have seen a lot of these Android box things, but this, I can tell you, it's something different. It's always fun to check out what's on the box. So this thing is plug and play, dual system. Yeah, basically it's an Android box, so you can use it like an Android box, I'm guessing. 70 plus emulators, support any game, support multiplayer. Then we have support 20 plus languages and classic retro design. Yeah, that last one is absolutely true. Let's open it up and let's see what we're going to get in the inside, because, like always, we're going to get ourselves a lot of the same stuff. Or not. Let's find out. So what are we going to get? We're going to get ourselves the manual, or basically explaining how Emulation work, and I must say, like, they do an okay job with that. So for general questions, and most of the things can be found on YouTube, of course. Then we have like the remote, just for the Android part. Then what I do like about it, that we have like an on and off switch nowadays on these power supplies, so we do actually have an on and off switch, because these systems do lacking of it. It's kind of weird, but let's take a close look later on with the system, do a quick overview. What is interesting, we do get ourselves like a hard drive nowadays, where we have like an SD card. In the previous video we do have like a gigantic hard drive, pretty damn cool. And of course the controllers and another, let's say, manual for the controllers and the HDMI cable. But let's talk about the controllers. They're like our typical like controllers when it comes to the overall quality. But I must say, like, they're not the cheapest quality. We do have like a rubber compound joystick. But when I'm going to do the test over here, the button test, oh boy, you can just feel that they're like, let's say if you're having like 3 different qualities. With quality 1, that's like the cheap to the cheap. This is absolutely quality number 2. 3 is more like better quality with good buttons. But this is not great. No, absolutely not. The HyperBase FC, I must be honest, like, it's quite confusing that they're using this very thick looking Famicom. And no, we cannot really play Famicom games with it. At the back we do have like an HDMI port, LAN port, input for the power supply. This thing weighs, by the way, almost nothing. Then we have like the SD card, and the reason why, because this is basically like combined with the hard drive. Let's talk about that later. Here we have like the slot where we're going to put in the hard drive. So that's pretty damn cool, so let's double check it. We need to put them in here like this. So this construction is quite awesome, to be honest. Like, this thing doesn't do anything, nothing to eject, and we have like 2 buttons. So far I know, like, they don't do anything. At the front we're going to get 2 USB ports, and then we have like the power on light and the IR function for the remote, and of course the Android part. But the overall quality of the case itself, it's very nice looking. Like, I don't know if the camera picks it up, we do have like this, let's say, pattern on it. It's very thick plastic. So in overall the case weighs almost nothing, because there was almost nothing inside on like a PCB that we're going to take a close look in the teardown. But again, like, it looks kind of cool, but I don't understand why they chosen the Famicom version. But the way how this actually works is quite interesting. So we do have like this combination of a hard drive and an SD card. We do get ourselves like an 8GB SD card. This basically contains Emulation. You can just download this for free, by the way, and just configure it like this. But all of the information that you need to add, think about the game, music, and etc., it will be implemented on this hard drive. And the reason why they do this is because when you're going to get into, like, say, the bigger SD cards, think about the 256GB. They're going to be quite expensive to buy, and I think it's way cheaper to get yourself like a hard drive like this. So I understand why they have made this decision to do it like this. So when powering on the system, it will automatically boot into Emulation, and if the hard disk has been configured correctly, you will also see that it is going to load up all of the platforms that are available on this machine. But let's take a close look at the menu itself. So it's just same typical like menu that we're going to get with Emulation, because these are like pre-installed themes. And personally, I really love this theme. This one looks really cool. So this thing is called Crystal, if I'm saying it correctly. When pressing start, you can go to the Emulation settings, for example, and the UI. And with the UI, you can just basically go back to the, let's say, ES theme, Emulation Carbon. And with the Carbon, you can just choose this one, go back, and reload everything, and you will go to get yourself like a completely different menu. But what we're going to get is absolutely like a shitload of different emulators that we can play on this thing, and I think that's pretty damn cool. So if you're going to add your games, you have like so much stuff you can basically play on this. Of course, take consideration, these things will have limitations when it comes to the overall performance, because they're like very expensive boxes to buy, or especially when it comes to the hardware they're using. But when it comes to, let's say, playing up to PlayStation 1, we don't have like any issues. So I want to try out some old school stuff, but also particularly trying to see like how far we can push this device. So if you're going to be in a game itself and you want to make a quick load, quick save, this is only working with an emulator in combination with RetroArch, pressing the joysticks. Here we're going to get ourselves like the extra option where we can make a quick load, quick save, and of course return to the game and mess around with RetroArch if you want to or need. But in the end, this is a very easy way to basically play around with it and yeah, just make a quick load and quick save. But when it comes to these books already mentioned before, like they will run just fine when it comes to the old school stuff. And pressing select and start at the same time, we're going to get this message, what you can see here, press again. So you need to press it twice and we're going back to the Emulation main menu. Okay, so the print promise, if you added a lot of stuff to this thing and like finding your favorite game is going to be quite difficult. So pressing select brings you to the special menu where we can basically like filter but also like search for a certain letter. Super convenient, and this way you can just easily find your games. So let's try some MAME to begin with. Take consideration if you want to play some Killer Instinct or Tekken MAME, this will not run on this box whatsoever. We need to have like a way more powerful device. Think about mini PC or something like that. He's going to shoot. No, he's not going to shoot. Oh crap. But we've reached the point that we can actually play some Mortal Kombat just great. Despite like the D-pad feels quite horrible, we can actually do some moves, by the way. Okay, so when it comes to N64, we do have like the same performance we just had with many of these boxes. Think about them Blast Corp that will like struggle. Cruising ESA have like a lot of problems. Golden Eye, 007, you name it. We will have like the same issues all over again because N64 is just quite difficult emulator to run on these very cheap boxes. Also, it runs on native resolution. I can just tell because due of like the horrible way how it looks. But again, that's what we need to accept from these cheap boxes. But actually, I just reason I want to pick up this particular game because it's also like a kind of a benchmark for me. But also, it is a game that runs pretty damn good, and it is not a launch title, what I understand of. Because when you go into the launch titles, think about the income rating; they work just fine. Okay, so when it comes to Nintendo DS, I'm not the biggest fan of just playing under this because, yeah, due of the two screens. For pressing the right at the joystick, we can basically go into the configuration over here. So we can mess around if you want to and make a quick load, quick save. So I think it's pretty damn cool. But the overall performance is quite good. You can switch between the screens if you want to. You can put them in different positions. Another system I wanted to try is the Real 3DO Entertainment System or Interactive Multiplayer, whatever. The thing is, like, when it comes to the system, I did have like some mixed performance. And I mean, like, sometimes we do have like some great performance with this, but it's depending what kind of box. You can just see, and I hope you can hear it, that it's going to be stuttering like crazy. You're gonna hear the audio is completely messed up. It's a little bit of bummer because the radio have like some hidden gems to it. Think about Return Fire. That's also like ported by the way to PlayStation, so it's not going to be a big deal. But Street Fighter is an absolutely great game, so another one. But yeah, it's not great. This is just absolutely unplayable. Two-dimensional games will run better, but again, yeah, it's a mix. Yeah. But all the stuff you can basically emulate on this device, Open Beach of Rage, is so much fun. And I mean, like, this is so cool. You have like these custom-made games that you actually can play on your box. So absolutely epic. Okay, so next up, let's take a close look at a little bit of Beat of Rage and how good it actually runs on this. I must say that when I'm having a system like this is the stuff I usually play. Just some casual beat 'em ups. Or getting beat up by the guys. So damn, this game is freaking difficult. Jeez. Wow. Yeah, so the reason I just choose this game because it is running great on these boxes. Sometimes we'll have like a mixed performance, and it means like that we're just having like a little bit better performance until we're going to play in the game, but oh boy. Yeah, and it even crashes. Great. Okay, so let's skip to Sega Dreamcast just to see actually how that will run on the device. I do hear that it struggles here and there. It can be a problem with the configuration. So what is great with this, we can press both, basically the joystick, where it brings us into, let's say, the configuration up in RetroArch. Take consideration, you can mess around with it. For example, we can implement frame skip. Let's play a little bit further. But you can hear the audio is completely messed up. It is going crazy with the frames per second. So let's take a close look if we can manage to get it a little bit better running on this. So you have like the internal resolution has been set by 640 by 480. So we cannot really like mess around with that too much. We can put it on 320 by 240, but it's going to be looking pretty damn horrible. So the next thing we can basically implement is putting in some frame skipping maybe. So let's do that. Let's set it to 1. Let's go back and let's see if we're going to get a little bit better performance. It's going to be a little bit better. Again, like you can mess around with the resolution. But in my opinion, this is not a great way how to play. So the next thing I wanted to try is some Need for Speed 2. And yeah, already beginning of this video, I already mentioned that we do have like an amazing overall performance for PlayStation 1 or up to PlayStation 1. And that's actually what we're going to get with these boxes. We've reached the point that everything on PlayStation 1 runs great. I don't know if you really want to play a game like that, but Need for Speed is absolutely a great classic game. I did play it a lot. I think it was like especially Need for Speed 3, Hot Pursuit that I played a lot back in the day. So much fun. I really love the funky music they used in this. So I don't know if the PlayStation version was like a less quality when it comes to the PC version, but nevertheless, you can see like this runs pretty damn good. Woohoo! Holy crap! Oh yeah. Another system that I was like going to be like added to this is PlayStation Portable, but despite this game actually runs pretty okay, I must say that I have seen a lot of glitches with this. Two-dimensional games in general are playable, but I can tell you it's going to be absolutely mixed and a big gamble. So we do have like the option to mess around with the settings, so if you have like some problems you can mess around with the frame skip, stuff like that. But again, like it's not a great system to play on this. This device is just not capable of running this. So no. But again, like seem to be running pretty damn good frames per second, but I can tell you like I've played a lot of these games on these cheap devices and yeah, no. Looking at the HyperBase FC specification list, this is something that we have seen many times before, and looking at, let's say, the gameplay in general, you will see that we have like similar results when it comes to previous boxes. Yeah, so overall, like I think it's nothing special, and that is something we will see eventually in this review. Or that is my opinion about this. But okay guys, so let's do a quick teardown. Let's rip it apart. Let's see how this thing looks in the inside, because I think it's quite interesting. And let's see if I can use my screwdriver, remove all of the screws. The first thing I've noticed is like it's going to be coming quite hard. And oh damn it, I need to find my screwdriver. Where is it? But I must say that I find this one of the most interesting, like say, versions I have seen in this year. At the front we're going to get ourselves the PCB with 2 micro switches. And what is quite funny is like we do have basically 2 working switches. To begin with, when you're pressing the left one over here, we can just boot up the system too. I think so we have like the ultimate switch basically at the power supply or the master switch where you can basically turn off the power. But this one has the option to turn it off very safely. That will save all of your data or your metadata. So that's pretty cool. But the weird thing is it also does the same thing with the right one. A little bit of a bummer and a missed opportunity. It would be so cool if you also can use this version, not for powering on of the system, but you can actually like use this for like making a quick save or quick load or something like that. So again, that's the reason I said it's a missed opportunity. So basically the 2 main boards are connected over here with these cables. What I really love about this like main board, it's pretty damn cool. The HyperBase version 2.1 is like having like an absolutely like completely new redesign, something you don't see back in the day. So let's remove the main board just to see what are we going to get. Something I don't need to forget, by the way, is removing the SD card, because if you don't do that, it's accidentally going to crack it. You do have an issue and a problem. Always recommend, by the way, making a backup of this thing. Simply because if you don't do it and it gets broken, you don't have the configuration, so your system will not boot up anymore in Emulation. But let's remove this thing and let's see what are we going to get more with this. Removing the tiny parkers, here we're going to get ourselves the main board, and okay, that's a kind of weird way, so they added the MAC code or something like that to there with double-sided tape. Okay, so here we have like the specification. This is the S905X chip over here. So yeah, it also shows it when booting up, and it explains why a lot of stuff doesn't really run great, because it's just like some old school tech they're using, like the really old school ones. Let's see if I can remove this cooling element over here. Let's pry here with my tool. But no, I think they glued it on here. I must say what I do like about it, they're using this very big, let's say, cooling element. And it also like, not only like basically takes all of the heat off the CPU, but it also takes the heat off the RAM. So I think they did a great job, and in my opinion they'll do listening. But there was no active cooling whatsoever. I don't know if it's going to be needing it, but hey, active cooling is always better than passive in my opinion. So when removing the SD card and the hard drive, we're going to be booting up in the dual system, or just Android. Because that is actually what it is. It's just an Android box, but it is really an old one, I can tell you that. So let's take a close look at the settings, just to see what kind of Android is even running on. But in the first attempt, it's absolutely garbage, because I'm trying the keyboard, I'm trying to be like creative, but everybody froze. Great. Attempt number 2. So let's see if it's going to be freezing now. No. Okay, so let's get into the settings, and you will see. Why does it open app again? I cannot even open settings. Okay, so you can see it's in a very unstable situation over here. Don't have like the same problems with Emulation, so that's way better. But the Android part is absolutely garbage, 7.1.2. So that's basically the version that's working on. Yeah, come on, it's dual boot. Absolutely not worth it. Garbage, absolutely pure garbage. So when it comes to the HyperBase FC, I must say that it's like a new thing when it comes to the hard drive. I didn't see this before on like one of those devices. It's a quite interesting way. We do have like cheap chemical controllers that do have like an OK D-pad, but they don't like play at all like super comfortable. So and overall, like, it's a cheap kit. This is something new, but is it like really exciting? In my opinion, not really. It's a new way to play, to having like cheap storage, so that's positive. Let me know in the comments what do you think of this with this old school chipset and a lot of problems. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing, hit the little bell, and it will be great to see you in the next video.